I feel like I fail to live up to my expectations a lot right now. A question that I keep coming back to is, who am I and what do I want? My lack of a clear goal gives me no clear answers. So I decided to go back to my childhood and to a yearly ritual that I had almost forgotten. And it always starts the same. Alright, this is day one. Anticipation and excitement. And this time really wasn't any different. Alright, so this is day one, and I'm about to do the first cast. And I almost feel like the more I build that up, the greater the chances, almost like a reverse type of jinxing. So now I feel like there's a lot of possibility with this first cast, because I'm like filming it, I've taken all this time, I'm like really setting this up properly. I think we have a good shot here at the first cast. It's a good day, good weather, nice day for it. First day was pretty much exactly what I expected. Didn't see anything, didn't catch anything, didn't feel anything, and I didn't fish as much as I felt I should have. Alright, so that wind, like here you really wouldn't even be able to tell that there's any wind. But when you get in the wind, it's just horrible. It like rips every ounce of heat that you've been able to gather in your body. It just rips that straight out of your system. It gets so cold. I accidentally took like a 2-hour nap. Now, I don't really have any time to think about really, or like I don't need to keep any sort of time, so it doesn't really matter if I take a 2-hour nap. But it wasn't intentional. It was just really nice to be in this little crevice here, because it's like there's literally no wind and the sun was just kind of heating me up. But now I'm quite hungry, so I'm gonna have a little bit of a snack. So I remember feeling just a little bit drained here and almost defeated, because I was so tired and I just slept away like half the day, it felt like. And it comes back to pretty much everything else in my life right now. An overall feeling of not being quite enough and not getting done what I feel like I should get done. Not fishing as much as I felt I should have. And I just ended up feeling tired. The same sort of tiredness that I've been feeling for months now. And then, on top of this, I lost my lure. And then I went to put on a new lure. And guess what happened? Are you fucking kidding me? It happened again. Literally, I got to do one cast with this new thing that I just put on. I don't know, if this isn't a sign, then I don't know what would be. Fuck, and it's so stupid of me too. However, I did actually this day manage to turn this around into positive action and decided that, you know what, tomorrow's going to be a new day. I'm going to get up before the sun rises and I'm going to fish at sunrise. All right, day 2. It's kind of interesting to look back on because nature doesn't know or care about me. But still, for some reason, that day, the forces of nature just presented me with the exact same challenge that I've been dealing with in my overall life lately. And that is the challenge of indecision. The question of what should I do now? Alright, I mean, look at this. This is the thickness of ice that we're talking about, so like my bait is not gonna go through that. So when this sort of stuff happens, it's just so easy for me to get stuck because I've like gotten up early. All of my plans for today, I've done so many things for that moment of being able to go there to that specific spot before the sun rises and actually be able to fish. And then when I get there and there's ice, it just kind of ruins, or it means that everything that I've done up until that point is almost like for nothing. So what happens then when I end up in a position like that, I spent probably 40 minutes in that spot just looking at the ice, filming it a little bit as well, but basically just looking at the ice, just feeling like, oh, what am I gonna do? Indecision, basically. And instead of just like straight away getting back in the car, going back to the other side of the island. And I find myself a lot of times when that sort of stuff happens, I just get stuck. The adversity that I have to face doing this stuff. I feel like I fail to live up to my expectations a lot right now. Not fishing as much as I want to, not working as much as I want to, not reading as much as I want to, not relaxing as much as I want to. And it's as if I can feel time just like slip through my fingers throughout the days. As if the days don't have the same amount of hours anymore. And I'm just stuck in that loop of getting the question of what should I do now? And I think I live in that question a lot, as if my life has become the paradox of choice. There's this idea called something like creativity through constraint. Basically, limited options lead to more creativity. Because the opposite is having infinite options, And that kind of puts you in a position where the question is, well, if you could do whatever you'd want, how do you actually figure out what you want to do? And I think this is sort of like the definition of a crisis of identity. Who am I? And what do I want? I just checked the water temperature and it's about 2 degrees. It's such a beautiful day, but it's literally like freezing cold. Especially the wind is just like pure ice blowing into you. Even though it's very calm, like that little tiny wind that is going right now is just so cold. I think with the water temperature this cold, the fish is not going to be too active, at least that's what I've heard, so they might be a little bit difficult to catch. So it might be a good idea to just go back to the house and just wait for a couple hours until the sun's been able to just heat up the water a little bit, and then we can come back out and hopefully actually go to the other place that we were this morning, and hopefully the ice will be gone and we'll be able to catch something. So my lack of purpose right now and my lack of a clear goal gives me no clear answers, and it just keeps bringing me back to, or a question that I keep coming back to is, if I could truly do whatever I wanted to with no constraints, then what would I want to do? Alright, attempt number 2. I mean, this is just such a gorgeous day. It's 4:30 p.m. right now and it's about like 9 degrees and it's so warm in the sun. It's like, it feels like summer. I'm excited. We're gonna catch something today. And I almost feel limited by the unlimitedness of that question, because there's so many questions in that question that kind of sprout from that original question that it becomes very overwhelming, almost breaking down every single part of who I thought I was and where I thought I was going. There we go, literally the first cast. This one is not legal though, so I have to throw it back in. I'm really sorry, buddy, because that hook didn't catch you very good. Ever since YouTube took off, everything felt so clear. It was just like, YouTube is what I want to do, and this is my way to do YouTube. So let's go down that path and let's go as hard as we can. And everything was just so clear along that path. But now when you take away the goal from that path, then there's no way to find your direction. And it used to feel like I just had everything figured out. And now it doesn't really feel like that. Got one! I think this one's undersized too. So we're gonna throw them back in. But not sure if I got that, but tried to. I think I get caught up in optimal a lot. Like with fishing, it really would be optimal to fish every single hour of the day and just spend as much time as you possibly can casting. I tend to be a little bit like all in or all out. So my plans are usually like a little bit too ambitious. And whenever I don't live up to that plan, or I'm unable to complete the plan or follow the plan, I tend to just scrap the plan altogether, usually on the basis of, well, I'll try again tomorrow. Tomorrow's a clean slate. I can follow the schedule perfectly tomorrow. Today I've already ruined it, so might as well try it tomorrow. But the question is, like, is that actually necessary? As I've gotten older, I've started to see more and more how good enough is actually optimal. And I think nature did a really good job trying to teach me that on these days. I wouldn't really say that I've learned it though. After a few days of just fishing every day, my interest in it usually starts to stray. And slowly I just spend less and less time casting and more time literally astray. And I know at this point you're probably like, well, Cal, enough with the metaphors already. We know you like metaphors, we get it. But it's a good explainer for how I feel right now. I feel a bit astray. April's the month where I get the largest dose of nature all year, and it's a really good month to do it into because April in Sweden is when nature really comes alive and forests are like exploding with symphonies of birdsong. And so in this way, trout season is sort of like my gateway drug into nature. And it's a good excuse to take some time off and revive that part of myself that I feel is just so easy to lose in this grown-up environment that I spend most of my time. And it's a really good month because the sun starts to provide the first touch of warmth all year, and as you're out you can just feel nature thaw out as it crawls back from the depths of winter. And as I stray away from fishing, my focus kind of shifts to nature as a whole. And more I just get back to that childhood version of myself of just sitting and looking, observing, paying attention. And it really is amazing what I find when I do that. And at first you don't really see anything. No matter how hard you look, you don't see anything. You need to spend a bit of time just looking before you can start to see. And after you've been in that same spot for a while and just sat there looking, things will start to appear before you. And they were there all along. It was just that your eyes weren't ready to see them. Your mind maybe was too busy, or something was going on. You weren't able to notice what you were seeing. And when I sit there, I'm just 12 years old again. In that place, there's no difference between me now and me then. Alright, so it's 7:22 p.m. and the sun will set at 8 p.m. It's already getting darker. I estimate that it's about like 20 minutes maybe for me to get from here to the Fox, especially if I'm gonna be like trying to sneak up on it. But I kinda have to try. Okay, so I can see it. It's about 30 meters away, maybe 40. And I need to move somewhere where it can't see me or hear me. Because right now, I'm in line of sight. Not good. finally got relatively close to the fox, I chose my Instagram story over the long lens, so the closest I got was what you saw with the long lens, and I got closer, but I used my phone for that. So if you want to see that sort of stuff, follow me on Instagram. Not that comes up very often, but I love those moments. And this is like such a good day too, because like didn't really get any fishing done, and was kind of stayed inside all day, like editing and writing, and just felt really tired and shitty. So I had like absolutely no energy, and when I went out fishing as well, I was just like dead tired. But having this experience now is just like giving me new life, and I'm so happy that I actually went out in the evening. I'm gonna try to do that a little bit more. That's gonna be my New Year's resolution, even though it's like the middle of the year almost. And this is a realization that I remember having as a child as well, realizing that my fascination for nature was so much more intense than most people. As a 12-year-old, I would spend hours by a pond just around the corner here, looking at tadpoles and salamanders, and I would even catch some and like keep them in this aquarium and like grow them into these little frogs and then release them back out into the wild. I remember I kept looking for someone who would be as interested, or someone that I could do this with, someone that I could go out and look at these animals with, and I just didn't really find anyone. Usually ended up going alone, or occasionally I would, like in this sort of brotherly way, I guess, force my younger sister to go with me, and I think she did like it too at first, but after a while, and after realizing that if I go with my brother, I'm going to be sitting for 5 hours staring straight into a murky pond, looking for like the one salamander that would show up every 30 minutes or so. So I think she got a little bit sick of that. And I actually remember Mom at one point just explaining to me that like she doesn't like this as much as you do. She doesn't want to be sitting there for 5 hours just staring into that pond. Whenever I meet new people and I tell them what I do for a living, I almost compulsively feel the need to preface it with, but my channel is not a fair representation of me as a person. Make sure that they know that what you see on the channel is not all that I am. And to some extent, it's not even the part of myself that I identify with the most. I feel the most in line or in tune with myself when I'm out searching for or observing animals in the wild. In April, I'm reminded of that, and I remember that this is what I love and that this is what I can do like almost no one else. And I have this sort of gut feeling like this is the answer to all the questions that I have. I feel like I'm being pulled in a direction where I don't know where I'm being pulled, but I know I'm being pulled there. And that sort of gut instinct is something that I believe in more and more the older that I get. And is something that is really easy to lose. So I feel like we know what we want or what we should do, or we have this gut feeling or this pull towards something that we know, and we're aware of that, but we don't listen to it, or sometimes in our day-to-day lives, I think it's a signal that can get lost in all the noise that's around it, and it's very easy to just block it out or not listen to it, I think. I haven't really listened to my gut, and this year's sea trout season has really been about that for me. Just stopping and trying to answer the question of what should I do now? And I don't want to say make my 12-year-old self proud, because that would be the corniest, cheesiest thing that I could say right now. But at the same time, I just feel like there's nothing really that feels more appropriate, because I feel like that's where I want to go with it. And I hope that this video, however it turns out, which I have no idea, will be one of the first steps in that direction. And if nothing else, I just want to make stuff that I can be proud of.